Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. I decided to revamp the steampunk look I did back during my 100 days of makeup on Instagram since I never filmed a tutorial for it. As always, the products, my social media, and the music used will be listed in the description. And with all of that said, let's get into the tutorial. I engaged partial potato mode by blocking out my brows, and I was rocking a tube top. I used a dark circle corrector to neutralize the darkness under my eyes, and I used a green spot concealer to spot correct some pimples and around my nose. I like to color correct because it helps to create a more even base, allowing for a more uniform foundation application. I used a concealer pencil to map out the segmentation on my face. Mapping looks out allows you to make adjustments more easily as you're working instead of having to try and change or correct things you don't like later on in the process. Then I applied foundation to my face but avoided covering the segmentation lines. I used a white foundation to highlight my face to start bringing some dimension back to my features. Then I powdered my face to set the foundation. I went over the concealer pencil with gold body paint using a flat brush. I wanted the lines to be pretty uniform, so I used a flat brush instead of a round or pointed brush, which allows for more consistency in the line thickness. I used an eyeliner to outline the gold lines to start selling the illusion of the skin tone being face plates and the gold being recessed segments between the plates.
Help me find the right words to say to get us back on our way. Can we try to fight against the grain of throwing out what we made?
I used a brown eyeshadow to begin shading the top edge of the gold lines, as that's where the darkest shadow from the face plates would be cast. Then I darkened the shadows with black eyeshadow. This will start to make it appear as if the gold really is beneath the skin tone areas. To make the face plates pop forward, I lined right next to all of the segmentations with a white cream makeup and blended it towards the center of each faceplate. I used silver to add little screws to the faceplates, and I used the end of a brush as a dotting tool of sorts to get more even sizes. I lined beneath each screw with eyeliner to create a slight drop shadow, and I also used the eyeliner to add in the little groove in each screw. Now for the eyes. I mapped out an exaggerated cut crease with black eyeshadow. I blended the cut crease out with a dense, fluffy brush. Then I used an eyeliner brush to sharpen and darken the inner edge of the cut crease. I packed a light gold eyeshadow onto the inner 2/3 of my eyelids. Then for a bit of variation, I filled in the outer third with a darker gold eyeshadow. And I finished off the eyes with some dramatic winged liner.
again. Oh, now I feel again. We're bringing this back to life.
I used the concealer pencil to map out the chest piece and the shoulder pieces. I used brown body paint to fill in the shoulder pieces. Normally, I'd really focus on having an even application, but since I wanted them to match the distressed leather look of the hat that I made, I wasn't super concerned by the brush strokes. I used light brown body paint to add trim and straps to the clothing. I added buckles to the straps with gold body paint. I also added the little rivets around what would be notches in the little straps. I outlined the chest keyhole with the gold body paint as well. I used a cool light brown eyeshadow to start shading the edges of the clothing. I love painting on clothing, it's one of my favorite things to do in body painting, and adding this slight shadow along the edges really sells the illusion of clothing being on top of the skin and not just painted on. Then I used a deeper brown eyeshadow in a more concentrated area to darken that shadow. I also used this shade to define all of the trim and the straps.
We're picking up where we left, off and on again.
I used an eyeliner to sharpen and define all of the shadows and edges on the clothing. So along the edges of the clothes, around the trim and straps, and even on the buckles and rivets. I started adding some distressing to the clothes with a dark brown eyeshadow. I used a fluffy brush and patting motions to mimic the distressing I did on the hat. To make the trim and straps pop forward a bit more, I highlighted each top edge with light brown body paint. I used a lip liner to map out the rough shape of a heart inside the keyhole on my chest, and I filled it in with red body paint. I filled in the negative space in the keyhole with black body paint. I used white cream makeup to add highlights and texture to the heart. I added some shading to the heart with a deep red eyeshadow. I used a couple of brown eyeshadows to add shading around the keyhole to make it appear separate from my chest. Then I added silver screws to the gold and added a drop shadow beneath them just like I did on my face. I used white cream makeup to add little glare marks on the keyhole to make it look like the heart is beneath a piece of glass. Last, I applied some dark red lipstick. Congratulations, you have made it to my end screen. Click that top link to check out my last video, or click that bottom link to check out a video YouTube's robots think you'll like. And if you want to make sure you don't miss a single video from me in the future, click that little circle with my face in it to subscribe.